ก็คือ 80% ต้องใช้บำบัดด้วยหลักธรรมโดยเฉพาะสมาธิหรือกรรมฐานเนี่ยก็จะเป็นแนวทางในการที่เขาจะต้องถือสัจจะก็เป็นสิ่งสำคัญในการที่จะให้ดำเนินการแก้ปัญหาสำหรับเขาจะเป็นแนวทางในการที่จะสามารถที่ทำได้นะครับ
ในโอกาสนี้ก็ต้องขอเจริญพรอนุโมทนาท่านอาจารย์รองศาสตราจารย์ดร.สมศักดิ์บุญปู่ผู้ช่วยอธิการบดีฝ่ายทรัพย์สินของมหาวิทยาลัยได้เข้ามาร่วมแสดงทัศนะแล้วก็ชื่นชมยินดีกับการที่พระเดชพระคุณหลวงพ่อวิจิตรได้ทำงานอยู่ในโอกาสนี้ครับขออนุโมทนา so thank you very much the associate professor Dr. Somsak Bunpu assistant of to the vice rector of properties management affairs our university means Mahajulalongkorn Rajavichalaya University to share and show and agree about the activities of most venerable พระหลวงพ่อวิจิตรอัครจิตโต to do these activities. Okay, today we would like to invite the two speakers for explain about the Buddhist therapy rehabilitation invited by หลวงพ่อวิจิตรอัครจิตโตนะ The speaker for today's Venerable Jimmy, the volunteer of Protect and Resist Drug Associated Temple, Wat Tham Kabok, Saraburi Province. And so also I'm very surprised. The most real to me about the researchers from Canada. He studied in University of the College London's PhD candidates in anthropology. He do a research in the Wat Tham Kabok too. Today, I invite speaker for today's the first Venerable Jimmy. Venerable Jimmy, I would like to learnings about your volunteer in Tham Kabok.
So, John, if you can.
Sure. Usually I meet Venerable Pra Jamis in Tham Kabok Temple. So two years ago, because of I went to there for learning some the experience with the Thammas in the Mahasangha in Saraburi Province, the teachings in Buddhism. That's why I love to learn things with the Venerable Ajahn Vijit Akharajitto. Okay, for today's we have our friend associate professor from India come to join our activities also. That's why he will conclusions about the topics for today. Okay, Venerable, right now I would like to know the process of the Buddhist therapy rehabilitations in Wat Tham Kabok, Saraburi Province. Can you explain me about that? Yes, sure. Please.
Hello everyone. Ajahn, maybe turn down your voice. So here at Wat Tham Kabok, the basis of our practice is what we call Sajadharma. And especially for drug addicts, this is a very useful practice because it involves a combination of intention and action and feedback. And so the people who come here for treatment, they have this vow not to take drugs again, or even ingest drugs or encourage someone else to take drugs. So this gives them a kind of a bracket of protection from this kind of lifestyle. And secondly, they take 2 more vows to practice. One being that their parents have kun for them, and that sacred things exist. And these two other sajja are also very useful for people coming out of this kind of lifestyle, because a drug addict tends to become very, very selfish. And so to acknowledge that they have received so much from their parents, and that in a way includes a kind of obligation to behave a certain way and to be a good child to their parents, and to practice this in their life, gives them a direction that they can start rebuilding their relationships with their family. And then from there, hopefully that can expand out to the other relationships in their life. And the vow about sacred things as well is very important. Many people, especially from Western culture, don't have an idea of sacredness anymore. So to consider that a human life is sacred and that their actions can lead towards higher things is a very important thing for a person to have confidence in, so that they can start changing their life. Itself also, for especially people coming from the Western culture, it's very scientific, because you have an idea and a behavior and a time frame and a feedback and an adaptation. So it's a very scientific, like experimental process. So when I'm working with people who stay here, I'm encouraging them to contemplate their own experience and to understand like these fundamental truths, which a drug addict knows by their own experience. Getting what you want doesn't give you satisfaction. A life dedicated to seeking out pleasure and seeking out avoiding pain is very problematic. There are some kinds of life where the line goes down like this, whereas a life of practice is a life that goes up. So they have this choice between these two paths of life. There's a life that goes down and there's a life that goes up. And if they choose this path, they can have confidence in the practice and confidence in their own actions. And in this way, they can change their behavior, change their wrong views, and hopefully have freedom to direct their life how they see fit, and the wisdom to direct it to a higher purpose.
Yes. Venerable, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm very interested about the process of the someone who have sufferings for the premeditations by life. Can you explain about the comparative the Western drugs addictions with the Buddhism?
So fundamentally, the approach is opposite. In my background, before I came to this temple, my bachelor degree is in health science. I help treat drug addicts in my home country, as well as being a drug addict myself. I have this experience, unfortunately. And so the Western system is very much a short-term goal of making the person free from drugs. So the primary things are drug substitution and distraction. So these are the two main approaches to detoxification and rehabilitation. Get the person through the physical detox by means of drug substitution and by means of distraction. Our approach is opposite of this. In our detox, there's no distraction. A person has to sit with their own experience and go through their own suffering and face it head on. And with discipline and rigor, every day they work in the temple. They clean a little bit and do little things. They sit in the steam bath, which can be a very physically intense experience. So in this way, they have an opportunity to start building up their kanti, their fortitude, their strength. Because without this development, unfortunately, a drug addict becomes very weak. They have no kanti, because their when they have a negative experience, they run away from that experience with drugs. So without the development of this personal power, a person can become clean, but then when some negative thing happens in their life, they don't have the strength to persevere through it. The other factor being inside of Buddhism, we are very interested in being aware of our own heart, our own mind. Through meditation and through other practices, we make this detachment from our emotions, from our thoughts. And this is very important, because a person can then look and go, okay, there is suffering. My body is suffering, my emotions are suffering, but there's some other part that doesn't have to be led by those emotions and those thoughts. So we have this practice not to be led by our thoughts and our emotions, to contemplate them, to understand them, to find the roots of them. And in this way, we can use wisdom to overcome our habits and our tendency towards escape and towards very short-term solutions for the problem of suffering in our life.
It's good. It's a good way for practice, and someone who want to practice for outside the suffering, it can do. Okay, the last, I would like to share and show which our students or the PhD candidates too today. I heard some Mr. from Canada, PhD candidates in anthropology, University of College London, come to study in your temple too, right? Okay.
Yes. Good afternoon, Ajahn. I'm here. Thank you so much.
Yes, Mr. Arastai, persons, you come from Canada, right?
I do. I'm Canadian. Yes.
Wow, Canadian. Okay. Today I'm very happy to hear that, because of the most venerable Luang Por Vijit Akhatitoni advice told me about your for study in his temple in your research. Can you tell me about your works or your activity in that temple?
That would be my pleasure. And I'd like to thank the organizers and the participants of the conference, the esteemed Buddhist and academic teachers, for making this platform available. And I appreciate the chance to learn from you all. So I guess I could begin by saying that my previous research has focused on anthropological perspectives on drug use and drug addiction. And in the last 2 years, I've combined this with my interest in Buddhism and the cross-cultural study of ethics here in my current project at Wat Tham Krabok. So that informs my perspectives here. But I'm very interested generally in understanding what goes on here. You might say holistically, so not isolating the drug rehabilitation treatment from the practice of Buddhism that exists here, and understanding how these things inform one another to create helpful outcomes for the people who come here, and how that's important also to the spiritual monastic life of the monks and nuns who live here.
อันนี้เนี่ยเป็นข้อบ่งชี้อันหนึ่งว่าชุมชนที่สามารถดูแลจัดการตนเองได้รักษาอัตลักษณ์ของชุมชน
That's an excellent question. There's a lot that could be said about that. Long P. Jeremy gave us an excellent introduction to the idea of Satcha as kind of a core technique that is used at Wat Tham Krabok, both by the monastic community and then which has been applied to excuse me, to the drugs therapy, you could say. And so in terms of a Buddhist perspective on drug use, I guess you could begin by saying most generally that at least at Wat Tham Krabok, addiction would be seen as sort of a specific manifestation of the larger problem of attachment. that being, of course, a kind of a critical mechanism of the existential problem of suffering that Buddha Dhamma is designed to address. And so to me, as someone who's previously researched sort of medical, psychological, and social techniques of addiction therapy in the West, that's really fascinating because it means that addiction is seen as something other than pathological. It's not understood as a disease state. And the biomedical disease model of addiction that's become the most globally recognized model sort of puts it forward in that way. We would like to suggest addiction as a brain disease that is treatable but not curable. And so at Wat Thangkabok, we're challenged to see addiction as operating through other processes. From a Buddhist perspective, of course, the temple has an effective treatment. This works well for many people, and so we must recognize the utility and the success of this different perspective. If I could say something a little more specific about that, I think it's quite fascinating that Wat Thangkabok didn't set out to treat addiction. In fact, its founders set out to have a reclusive community in which to practice. And so perhaps there's some powerful karma at work that people started showing up looking for help with addiction here. And then as we do here with so many things, it seems to me that the founders and first abbots used the resources that they had on hand, the tools of Dhamma, to help these people. And there's some wonderful interviews, in fact, with these early practitioners who said, we didn't know too well what to do, but the people who came to us looking for help found this profoundly effective. And so you could say that this is kind of an inductive perspective, that it's specific observation of what's happening with people and what benefits them that leads to the general treatment protocol here at Wat Thangkabok. But it is fundamentally an unadulterated Buddhist perspective, and I think it's of great importance that is so helpful to so many people.
เห็นเรื่องราววิถีชีวิตนะครับอาจจะรู้สึกว่ามันธรรมดาเพราะเราชินกับมันเราอยู่กับมันเรารู้สึกว่ามันธรรมดาแต่สำหรับคนซึ่งเป็นคนภายนอกมองเข้ามาเนี่ยอยากเรียนว่าในความธรรมดาเนี่ยมันมีความน่าสนใจในความเรียบง่ายธรรมดามันกลายเป็นสิ่งที่น่าตื่นตาตื่นใจสำหรับคนที่ได้พบเจอได้มาเยือนเพราะฉะนั้นวันนี้ผมคิดว่าเป็นโอกาสดีมากหนึ่งเนี่ยของดีซึ่งอยู่ในชุมชนหลายคนก็ไม่มีโอกาสลงพื้นที่แต่พอจัดในรูปกิจกรรมในลักษณะแบบนี้นะครับแล้วมีการเผยแพร่ออกไปทางสื่อออนไลน์สื่อออฟไลน์ในรูปแบบมันเป็นการประชาสัมพันธ์ให้คนรู้จัก
And they are looking at creating certain cognitive prompts to generate a different branch of behavior. This is a classical Western approach. I'm biased, obviously, because I am a Buddhist monk. But I find this approach problematic because there is no fundamental answer to what is a good behavior. It's very much a symptomatic response to a particular behavior in a person's life. So if a person has a problem with addiction, drugs, or gambling, they can use this technique to try to cut out that one behavior. But then the rest of the person's life is the same. So the cause for this behavior is now unaddressed, and maybe it will now shift to manifesting somewhere else. Whereas in Buddhist cognitive behavioral therapy, again, we're looking to change behavior because if you are just changing your mind and you're not changing your actions, this is not really a change to a person's life. So we are looking to change a person's heart, a person's speech, the way they interact with other people, and their actions. But this profound understanding of the nature of
เหมือน
life.
ที่เราเห็นความงาม
So
ของการแส
it's
ดง
not just
ในงาน
don't take drugs
การประชุม
and then
สุ
be
ดยอดผู้
unhappy
นำ
and
เอเปก
feel
ที่ผ่านมา
this dragging
กิจ
suffering
กรรมของ
through
ชาว
the
บ้าน
rest
ก็
of your
ทำได้
life. It's
เริ่ม
changed
จาก
your
สื่อ
approach
ซึ่ง
to your own
เอาที่
experience
ผม
of
เรียกว่า
life
ต้นทุนต่ำ
through your behaviors, through your
สื่อที่ทุกคน
interaction with
ทำ
your
ได้
own mind.
นะครับ
And
นำเสนอเรื่อง
I
รา
find
ว
it very
บอก
surprising
เล่า
that a lot of
เรื่
people
อง
don't
ที่
believe
เป็น
they can control
จุด
their
แข็
own
งเป็นของ
thoughts.
ดี
The idea
นะครับอาจจะมี
seems
เรื่องของนิ
magical
ทา
to
น
them.
ชาวมอญ นะครับเรื่องของ
Whereas
ตำ
from
นา
the
นบาง
Buddhist
อย่า
point
ง
of view,
ที่
this
เราไม่
is
เค
a
ยรู้มาก่อน
person's
หรือ
kingdom, is
แม้
their
แต่การ
thoughts.
ทำ
So
สูตรอา
we
หาร
have these conscious control over the kind of thoughts they entertain, the kind of thoughts they grow. It's I like the analogy of garden. A person can choose the kind of plants that they want to grow in this garden and nurture them in a specific way so that the plants can feed each other and you can create a life that is complete and balanced and harmonious. And this is a fundamental change at the deepest level of what a human being is.
It's good. So thank you very much. The last I saw you about your phrase. You are explained about your duties. You're very calm, very happy to do your activities. Something like that. In Mahayana traditions, we can say Bodhisattva, Mahapodhisattva to help other, help people. Then we can get the happiness inside. The last, why didn't you become volunteer here? Can you explain, motivate someone who would like to do some your duties, motivate them? Why you are become volunteer?
I don't know. It happened a little step by little step.
Yeah.
I came to the detox to solve my own drug problem. And afterwards, I felt gratitude for the temple. So I want to work inside the temple and show my gratitude, give something back to the temple that helped me. And so I had the opportunity to do this. Ajahn Tong had a little group. And so I joined this group, and every day I'm working as gratitude. And then I had the opportunity to ordain, and this is wonderful. Maybe the greatest gift that I received in my life is to ordain as a monk. And then I took over this little group. And so people would come and stay with me, and we talk human being to human being, and we discuss the way we see life. And slowly over time, people teach me what they know. I teach them what they know. And I'm practicing Sajja here and growing in my own practice. And so just a door opened and I went through it, and then another door opened and I went through it. And I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to practice the Dharma here. It's an ideal place for practice. And I feel compassion for other people who are suffering, because I know what it is to suffer and to not feel free. And so also as a Buddhist, I feel like I have a responsibility. I've received these teachings, and so I should be part of this chain that leads back to the Buddha. These teachings have been given to us, and we should keep them alive and grow them and hand them on to other people, so to keep that transmission alive.
Okay, it's good. Oh, it's very nice. Mr. Arestra person. Nowadays, so today we have our students in psychologies, right and death in humanities faculties. Our university come to join too. I would like to know about the topics. If we would like to study in Tamkabok or some like Buddhist therapies, why is the topics very important nowadays? You are observe that temple. Why is the topics very interested? The 1, 2, 3 points. You can guide them.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful question, and be my pleasure to speak to it. So where to begin? I would say one thing to consider is the relative limitations of medical knowledge when it comes to the treatment of addiction. If you speak to some doctors, they'll say, well, our field lags behind other medical sorts of initiatives, and in not in generating knowledge. There's plenty of stuff that's published, but in kind of effectively treating things. And at the same time, this understanding is sort of disseminating around the world. It's becoming one of the most popular lenses, if you will, through which to view addiction. And so what comes along with that is a lot of the baggage, I would say, of Western cultural perspectives. It's sort of embedded in that. And so I think that there's a great value in not limiting ourselves to certain kinds of understandings and beginning to ask how people in different places address this universal problem of addiction, because indeed around the world, people suffer with this. And so what Tam Krabak is, of course, a sort of internationally recognized example of a successful approach to thinking about this. And it's my contention that it's very important for researchers and clinicians to be able to contextualize what they think they know by understanding more clearly the diversity of knowledge and different perspectives that not only kind of can make sense of addiction, but can effectively treat it in many cases. And so that would be certainly one one answer to the question of why it's kind of presently important to study Tam Krabak. And then I think specifically, there's although it's quite limited research, at least published in English, which is the language that I can read, that explains what happens here. And a lot of it, as I sort of suggested, is approaches things in perhaps a limited framework. And so my hope is that in doing this research, that we can not only sort of appreciate things about addiction, but to speak somewhat to what Long P. Jeremy was just speaking to, but how these things connect to a person's whole being, how they connect to ethical techniques of sometimes in my nation, we think of ethics as very prescriptive. We think about it as rules that, keep society organized, and that if you violate them, you're punished. But of course, ethics are also techniques for becoming a more complete, a more happy, and a better person. And that's very evident here. And so I think through the specific study of what's taking place here, we can begin to ask some important questions about what sorts of, I guess you could say, how the specific problem of addiction is tied in to questions about how to be in the world and how to live well. And you can look both to people in treatment here and of course to the monastic community for answers to those questions. And so I think that we're at a moment in this sort of academic and cultural discussion where these are very important questions to bring to the fore. And so it's a great honor to have some small contribution to make there at this point. I hope that answers your question.
It's good. Usually our Sangha Thai of Thailand, they have the policy for develop every monastery in Thailand to be the center of health some of the people to have suffering about the rehabilitations also, because of this is the models of the temple. Any temple can learn, can study, can get the best practice for rehabilitations. What Tam Krabak? Okay, some students in class in American room. Yes, the student in psychologists like and this they can get the good the topics for the research from your already, I think, because of so many person come here. Okay, I thank you very much again, Mr. Ajahn Jimmy, do you have say some things? Ajahn Jimmy, do you have say some things? Finance these functions.
So the fundamental thing which I mentioned earlier, inside of our practice of sajja, we have intention that we speak, especially with some kind of witness. Process of feedback, I think, is an essential part of practice, because I've been around practice since I was a child, and I've seen people grow, and I've seen practice for many years, and the cases where people aren't actively using their mind and taking feedback, their practice doesn't blossom so well. So whereas with this use of sajja and this use of feedback, a person can make sure that their practice is functional. There is some true effect happening from the practice. It's not just an isolated thing. A person can meditate for many hours, many years, but the effect of that meditation can lead to wisdom, or it can lead to a different subtle form of distraction. The same with a worker as practice, the same with every branch of practice. It can become a kind of diluted version of the true practice. So this thing of feedback and adaptation is a way that a person can really make sure that their practice is alive, is vital, is full of true practice. So this to me is the essential quality of practice, that it really is alive inside of the person who practices it. So I hope that everybody has this kind of practice for themselves.
So thank you very much, Ajahn Jimmy, the University of Politics. This is Associate Data Post, Temple Box, Saraburi Province. Okay, the next, I would like to invite the Assistant Professor, Dr. Vikas Singh. He is the Assistant Professor and Head of Department, Sanskrit, Maravali College, Latin Narayana Mitra University, Bihar of India, to some conclusions and the words of thanks, these functions. Please welcome Dr. Vikas Singh.
Thank you very much. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. A very good afternoon from India. Myself, Dr. Vikas Singh, Head of Department of Sanskrit, Marwadi College, Lalit Narayan Mithila University, Darbhanga, Bihar. On the behalf of organizers, Department of Education, Psychology and Guidance, Faculty of Education, Mahachulankhon, Raja Vidyalaya University, Thailand, I present my sincere vote of thanks to Chief Guest of the webinar, Fira Vijit Akkachitto, the Vice Abbot and Chairman of Project and Register Drugs Association Temple, But Tham Krabok, Saraburi Province, Thailand. I present my thanks to guest of honor, Dr. Shomshak Van Pao, the Associate Professor and Assistant to the Vice Rector for Property Management Affairs, Mahachulankhon University, Thailand. And we are very thankful to our both distinguished speakers, Fra Jeremy, Venerable Fra Jeremy, volunteer of Protect and Resist Drugs Association Temple, Thailand, and Mr. Alastair Parsons, researcher and PhD scholar in anthropology, University of College London, for wonderful speech and a great discussion about the theme, especially the topic, the Buddhist counseling rehabilitation. And I would like to present my vote of thanks to respected Dr. Frama Sambun Buddhikaro, Associate Professor and the Vice Rector for Academic Affairs, Mahachulankhon University, Thailand for presenting welcome address. I would like to present my sincere thanks to the convener of this international webinar, Dr. Frapla Soravit Afipanyo, Assistant Professor and Director, Master of Education, former Head of the Department of Education, Psychology and Guidance, Faculty of Education, Mahachulalongkorn University, Thailand. And I'm just quoting a line of John Maxwell, which is very relevant to Venerable Frapla Afipanyo. A pessimist complains about the wind. Optimist tries to change it, and a leader adjusts the sails. The sails for this particular notion were adjusted by a person who is not only a great motivation to all of us, but he's a visionary and the person who gave us the belief to bring together from this webinar, and his Venerable Frapla Soravit Afipanyo. Furthermore, I present my sincere vote of thanks to all audience, especially all respected venerables, laypersons from different parts of the globe, and our Indian friend, especially Sugat Sante, Ravi, Bala, Nazma, Krishna, and Professor Mahendra sir for their kind presence. Thanks again to all of you. Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you, Dr. Vikas Singh. It's very thankful for you join us for today. Before we host ceremonies for today, because of we take time only 1 hour. Before we close seminar, we would like to invite Venerable Longpo Vijit Akarajito. The chief guest for today is Voice Airport Chairman of Politics, Mrs. Brad Associates Temple, for conclusion some things about the concept of Buddhist therapies or Buddhist cognitive behavioral Buddhist therapies. หลวงพ่อนิมนต์หลวงพ่อได้สรุปประเด็นภาพรวมทั้งหมดสักนิดหนึ่งแล้วก็จะได้กราบไหว้บูชาพระรัตนตรัยเป็นจบในส่วนนี้ครับเหลือเวลาอยู่ประมาณสัก 4-5 นาทีครับหลวงพ่อครับ
เดี๋ยวครับ
ได้ครับนิมนต์หลวงพ่อสรุปสักนิดหนึ่งแล้วก็จะได้นิมนต์หลวงพ่อไหว้พระปิดกิจกรรมในวันนี้ด้วยเลยครับหลวงพ่อเปิดไมค์สักนิดหนึ่งครับ Today we promote our activities to MCU TV online. So very thank you very much the director promote our university to streaming live by Facebook, YouTube, and many applications can join us for today. นิมนต์หลวงพ่อ
ได้ยินไหมครับ
ได้ยินนะครับหลวงพ่อครับนิมนต์ครับนิมนต์ครับ
ครับจากที่พระอาจารย์ทำงานด้านนี้มาเนาะพระอาจารย์จะบอกว่าสิ่งที่เราพูดคุยกันอยู่เนี่ยเราต้องมองให้ดูว่าคนที่กำลังเสพยาติดยามีจำนวนมากมายแล้วก็เพิ่มขึ้นแต่ที่เรามาคุยกันเนี่ยเราลองคิดดูว่าเราจะทำให้คนหนึ่งเนี่ยเขาหายจากการติดยาเสพติดเนี่ยเราจะต้องมีวิธีอะไรมีวิธียังไงที่เราจะเอาเข้ามาช่วยนอกจากทุกวันนี้กระบวนการรักษานั้นบอกได้เลยว่ามันล้มเหลวเราอยากจะได้คนหนึ่งที่เขารักษาแล้วหายแล้วเนี่ยรักษาแล้วให้หายเป็นปกติเนี่ยเราจะทำยังไงดังนั้นสิ่งที่พระอาจารย์ฝากไว้ก็คือเรื่องของพระพุทธศาสนาเนี่ยนะจะนำพาให้พวกเขาสามารถที่จะเปลี่ยนจิตใจเปลี่ยนพฤติกรรมเปลี่ยนการกระทำได้ทำอย่างไรให้เขารู้จักคำว่าปิติคำเดียวถ้าเขาปิติแล้วเขาสามารถที่จะเลิกยาเสพติดได้แน่นอนปิติในความคิดปิติในกายในความสามารถของเขาปิติในสิ่งแวดล้อมปิติในกลุ่มคนทุกคนที่ให้กำลังใจกับเขาให้ความคิดกับเขาแล้วพาเขาเดินให้พ้นจากโลกมืดเนี่ยรับรองว่าเราจะได้คนที่เลิกยาเสพติดเป็นจำนวนมาก ครับสาธุครับ
ก็กราบขอบพระคุณหลวงพ่อนะครับเหลือเวลาอยู่2 นาทีครับหลวงพ่อครับต้องกราบขอบพระคุณหลวงพ่อเป็นอย่างยิ่งนะครับที่ได้เมตตากับทางคณะครุศาสตร์มหาวิทยาลัยมหาจุฬาลงกรณราชวิทยาลัยในการสัมมนาออนไลน์ซึ่งกิจกรรมสัมมนาออนไลน์แบบนี้จะมีเป็นประจำทุกเดือนหลวงพ่อครับทุกเดือน
ครับผมครับ
และท็อปิกนะครับ so thank you very much the most venerable หลวงพ่อวิจิตรอัครจิตโตthe Vice Abbot Chairman of the Buddhist Association Temple วัดถ้ำกระบอกสระบุรี Province to get our news idea and news experience, especially the special speaker today, the researcher and PhD candidates in anthropology, University of College of London, and Venerable Ajahn Jimmy. I hope I will meet each other in Tamgabok very soon for learning too much about the big heart volunteer big heart. We can say the Buddhist Mahayana tradition. We can say Bodhisattva for heals order to get well body and mind. And also, I thank you the professor from India 2-3 professor. Usually we do webinar online together many times. The next time we have to join about the educations as Buddhist education administrations. Some like we have to apply the concept of Buddhism to another side and discuss about the experience for develop our societies, not only the Thailand, India, but our society in the world. So thank you very much. Invite the most venerable หลวงพ่อวิจิตรได้นำไหว้พระสักนิดหนึ่งครับเพราะว่าตอนนี้ก็4:30พอดีครับรายการโทรทัศน์ก็จบไว้แต่เพียงเท่านี้แล้วขอบคุณทางท่านรองอธิการบดีฝ่ายประชาสัมพันธ์และเผยแผ่พระมหาชำนาญมหาชาโนได้ให้กับคุณสมหมายสุภาษิตได้มาถ่ายทอดสดผ่านทางสถานีโทรทัศน์ทีวี MCU TV ออนไลน์ในขณะนี้ด้วยกราบนิมนต์หลวงพ่อได้ไหว้พระสวดมนต์ครับนิมนต์ครับ
พร้อมกันฮะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธภควาพุทธังภควันตังอะภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตภควตาธัมโมธัมมังนัมมาสามิสุปฏิปันโนภควโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนะมามิ
ขอบคุณทุกท่านครับเดี๋ยวจะมีเซอร์ติฟิเคตให้นะครับท่านที่ลงทะเบียนมาเดี๋ยวจะมีถวายเซอร์ติฟิเคตนะครับมีประกาศคุณให้ด้วยนะครับ We will send certificates who participate our today's by email. You can check email or send message to me. I will prepare certificate send to all of you who participate. Thank you very much. See you to next month. พบกันเดือนหน้าครับProfessor Pandey from Aurangabad come to join us.
Bante,
The next time.
This webinar, this webinar is the most important.
Next time
for the Buddha's philosophy. Bante. This international webinars is the most importance of this topic. And the guest is so many speeches are so many learnful. So many thinking about the opening the thinkings of parts of Buddha's philosophy. Canada sirs and another Bante also so many speaks in important parts of how to learn and how to speak in Buddha's philosophy in another religions. That's why this webinar is the importance. Bante. Nice importance.
Thank you. Bante.
Thank you.
Professor Ravi Kuman, can you say something, Ravi Kuman? Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us for today's. See you next functions next month. I will inform you again what is the topics for discussable academics nowadays for develop our social networks with professors from other country, not only Thailand but other country. We have to do activities, academic activity together.
Recording stopped.